Well then. There we go. Wow, okay, let's get the camera to come up. There we are. Wow, really whiffed out on a couple of things tonight. Oh my, it's been a day. Jeff, Andy, good evening. Good morning, Andy. And good evening, Paul. And my goodness, you actually set, is this what you set your alarm for, Andy? I am so sorry. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Let's see, who else is here? It looks like it. Okay. So, okay. So let's see. Yeah. 1 o'clock in your morning, huh, Andy? Or 1:11 now. That's too early for me, but not always too late. Anyway, wow, I'm honored, Andy. Thank you. Thanks for being here tonight. So let's go ahead. Since Andy's had to wake up in the middle of the night to watch, let's go ahead and jump right in. Real quick, we'll start out with the usual what's in the jam, just like always. So a few things we'll get to. Real quick, I got a bunch of stuff to talk about, but let's real quick go through the jam. Let's see here. Let me pull this up first so you're not waiting around for it. Okay, here we go. So up in the jam, I've got a few new things, actually. You haven't seen this before, and they're actually new to me, or some of them are. I doubled down on native instruments, and because I think they're going to be with us. I don't think we're gonna lose native instruments. But I bought a couple of new Kontakt instruments over the past week, and tonight is actually about the first time I've gotten to play with them. So, first one is called Seen Blood Plant. It was doing the bass thing. Kind of weird bass, drone bass thing. And they're kind of interesting. They're XY sample players with a bunch of macros tied to this central region here. And so I can move left and right across here. And I'm not using the XY tablet for this right now. I don't have it set up for that yet. So this basically moves between the A and the B. In this case, it's a couple of different modes in the blend. You can stack them or blend them. In this one, it's set to, if you're all the way to the left like this, it only plays the A sample. Move to the right, it adds the B sample. And actually, let me stop these other ones while we're doing this. They'll eventually stop. There we go. So they got great textures. This Scene series from Native Instruments is great for drones and pads and that kind of thing. They got a lot of great textures. And so the macros side is driven by the Y-axis. And right now I've just got that on the mod wheel by default. So anyway, this one's called Seen Blood Plant, brand new from them this week. And I got another instance of that on the next track. And I'll do some more digging into these and do some dives into this series now that I own them all a little later on, another night. But I was using them pretty much almost exclusively in the jam tonight. This is another one. Called Scene Nightshade. Let's see, and next up is another one. This one's called Scene Willow. And then last up in the jam is a new instrument from my friends at Ocean Swift Synthesis. And this is not sponsored or anything. I did not, they did not send this to me. I went ahead and bought it. This is a kind of interesting multi-sample player. Each sample or each oscillator is a sampler with a bunch of different settings. And its own effects engines, its own modulation section, and they layer up. And then you've got master filters. So this is also really good for pads and drones, and but also leads. So pretty versatile synth. It does use a lot of processor though. If you look up the right, you can see I'm at 50% with just it, and that's even after telling Kontakt to relax on the processor count. But anyway, still a fun one. So anyway, that's what was in the jam tonight. The usual drums and percussion thing. Nothing fancy there. So let us get to the main event, or one of the main events. I've got a couple of main events tonight, but we'll start with, let's see if I can get this set up well. I want to go there. So as you know, I got the Behringer copy of the Wasp filter, Eurorack filter, and I'm going to take it on faith. We're going to play with this. Andy wanted to hear burbles from it, so that's why he got himself up in the morning, this early in the morning. So I've set up. Let's see. Let's go ahead and go to Eurorack, see it. It is, of course, the chat's in the way, so let's get that out of the way for the moment. So here is the Wasp, and I've sort of deviated from Andy's initial recipe. So let's go ahead and set that up. Got my input gain at about 70%. I'm going to close the filter. And the resonance is just shy of being all the way up. And so I'm just holding down a note, opening up the filter. And you notice that little bump there. I don't know if the Doepfer does that or not as you sweep up or down. But my suspicion is that that bump is what happens when you cross over. The way that the Wasp filter works, we're basically abusing digital logic chips. And the logic chip is basically a diode switch at its core, or a transistor switch, which is basically a controlled diode. And that bump, I suspect, is when we're tripping over the maximum forward voltage of, or reverse voltage of the diode. And it's all of a sudden just pops open. I suspect that's what it is. And I don't know for sure, but I suspect that when we hit that point in the saturation of the chip part. Yeah, please do, Andy. I'll be interested to see or hear. So I suspect that's what's happening. And I suspect also, if you do that too many times to a diode or a transistor or a logic chip, if it's not protected in some way, that's probably what fries that logic chip in the Doepfer. And so that's a kind of a thing. So it's kind of interesting though. It's got an interesting sound and it does some stuff. So the other thing with getting the burbles to go is if we feed it like a sample and hold to drive the frequency, to also drive the frequency. Is that bifurcation or burpfurcation? Yeah. So you get some really interesting effects by doing this, though. So if I take this modulation source, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the camera, guys, so that you can see all of what I'm doing. Basically, I just pulled the cable that was feeding the CV from the sample and hold out on the 2600. I'm going to put it into the sine wave output of oscillator 2, and I'm going to have that set as a low frequency oscillator. So you can hear when it does that bump, it goes going across that point. We'll turn the rate up. Hey, Joe, good to see you. And now if you turn this up to audio rate, let's attenuate that a little bit. Start getting to FM, getting some interesting filter FM effects there. Open the filter up a little bit more. Hey, Sean, good to see you. And if we go ahead and put this back in the sample at hold, and so on those, is that a Behringer 2600, Paul? If it's the Behringer black and orange, it has a digital reverb, and the blue and the gray have an actual spring reverb. So anyway, that's burbling on the with the Wasp, and then of course, you know, it does all the other Wasp things. You hit that sweet spot there. Start to get into that drive spot there. Let's go ahead and put the sample and hold back on that. And then we'll go ahead and put back to the LFO, to the oscillator input. LFO first. Take it into FM territory. So that gets pretty out of control. Fun stuff. So anyway, that's that's the burbles. Is that what you were hoping for, Andy, to know what was going on with? And as I said, I will be interested. Yeah, sort of, Joe. It really is. So I'll be interested to hear what the Doper sounds like. And who knows? I mean, if it's a good and difference and that is significant, I might go ahead and add both. You know, interesting. Yeah, interesting stuff. Of course, I'm out of space in the rack at the moment, but you know, that's what they make more racks for. Don't let my wife hear that. So anyway, the next thing I had up on the list of stuff to play with was to take a look at the Ocean Synthesis Oscillarys which was, let's see, this, not that guy. And it's, I haven't had a whole lot of time before with it yet. Love the leg. And, oh, yeah. But that's not the laptop anymore, Joe. That's a Mac Mini now. Had one too many Windows being Windows situations. So it's yeah. So now it's MacBook Pro for the main and Mini for all the monitoring stuff and making the chat and whatnot. Still a Chromebox making the actual overlay for the chat, but I'll use it till it gives out on me. So anyway, this thing, I'm going to go ahead. What I'll do, let's see. Let's drop this one. We'll go through this real quick. I'm going to basically duplicate this track and then open it up here on the new track. And we'll do a couple quick things with it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it tonight. As I said, I just really kind of started learning it. Excuse me. Got it last week, but had to do a bunch of trips to my mother's place, which kind of ate up all my time to play with toys, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So, like I said, each one, it's basically 3 sample players with effects and modulation. It comes with a huge array of samples in different categories. Let's see, what's the best way? Let's see. Excuse me. You have all these different categories of different kinds of samples, and then within each one, you've got, dozens and dozens and dozens. Let's turn this layer off and this layer off. And you can adjust the tuning and the start point. Let's just Mac the knife. I don't even notice the birds half the time anymore. So anyway, you've got envelopes, 3 envelopes. You've got 3 LFOs that you can route to wherever you want them, all these different places. So they're full synths. External sources, things like velocity, poly aftertouch, and wheel, and they can all be, put in different, there's a velocity as it applies to main, filter, and LFO. I mean, it's all the routing. And then you can randomize stuff. So pretty neat thing. And like I said, there's 3 channels that goes through a range of filters. 2 filters in series. So you got this whole range of filters, and then over here you've got the Monarch filter, or a Monarch inspired filter. So it's basically the Monarch filter. So what's this? Reading chat. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I lost the thread that you guys are talking about. But anyway, so that's this. That's this Oscillarys instrument. And like I said, I kind of doubled down on the on native instruments. Like I said, I think they're gonna get through their restructuring and whatnot and come out swinging. At least I hope they are. So anyway, that is Oscillarys. And if you're interested in looking at it anymore, there are links down below, as usual. There's like a demo video and a link to their website. So the next thing, it looks like this is going to be a pretty quick show tonight, which for me is rare. Now that I've said that, we will be here all night. But what's Sean got going on there? Waiting for the modal death rattle. I don't know. They came through their insolvency, and the Carbon 8 came out, and they've been slowly shipping cobalts and argons. Excuse me one sec. I don't know if you guys are hearing the... Yeah, you are. All right. Anyway. Are you saying modal seem awfully quiet, or oh geez, do you say modal seems awfully quiet, or the birds seem awful quiet? Yeah, ringtone sounds great. One of the joys of the Mac, and also one of the yeah, exactly, Paul. One of the joys of the Mac is that everything talks to everything else, and you can join everything together and have a great time. And then the other problem is you can join everything together. And I thought that I had silenced the phone joining, but apparently not. And so that's my mother calling, which there's some imagined emergency, I'm sure. But she does not necessarily always have a great command of her cell phone. And so I pushed it off to voicemail, and she hasn't hung up. So I'm getting the transcript from the TV in the background showing up on my screen, which is really not what I want. Let's make this go away. Anyway, such fun. No, it hasn't actually shown up on the screen, but now it's like popping up all over my screens. And now it's coming up on my iPad, and it's just, oh, geez. Anyway, and of course, I'm using the phone for my clock over here so I can know what time it is. Oh, and now I got the notification that she called, as if I didn't already know. Anyway, so anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next thing, which is really just an update of the XY control project. And excuse me one sec. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so the XY thing, Jeff, you notice it is playable. The problem that that we're still having, or that still exists, is that, let's go ahead. I think there's everything. I think I think the screen is pretty much sanitized. So the deal is this, and I got to move chat out of the way to show you guys this, I think. Or can I slide it over far? Here we go. Okay. So the way this kind of has to work in Ableton is I have to bring the XY pad in on a track and then route it to the track that I want to play. So in order to do that, I have to change this box here, this MIDI 2 box, to point to the track that I want it, the XY pad, to merge and control with the, merge its MIDI with the Control S. So for instance, if I want to play Vital, I have to go into here and select Vital. And now, if you look at the MIDI monitor here in the lower left, as I move my finger on the pad, you'll see the data scrolls by in the MIDI monitor, which means that it is in then making its way to Vital to control, in this case, filter cutoff and resonance. So when I play, so that works. But what I can't get working, or what is eluding us, is, or eluding me anyway, is that having it automatically change that MIDI 2 assignment to the currently active track. And there's a no, this is not just an Apple thing. This is an Ableton Live thing. Ableton Live does not know how to deal with multiple MIDI sources coming into a single track. Anyway, I mean, I can select all kinds of different. I can select all kinds of different MIDI sources. Like I could say in the MIDI from to drive, let's say Oscillarys, I can drop this down. I've got all of these choices. I can bring it, I can exclusively have the little key step over here drive it. And actually, it's driving the, it's also hardwired to the modular, so that was a bad choice. But so anyway, I can use that to direct the main MIDI around. So the XY controller, it works, I mean, it does, it's a separate set of MIDI routing. So if I come in here, I've got it coming from what's called network MIDI, which is basically the Apple's MIDI mapper, or the Apple I use the Apple's audio MIDI setup to see the iPhone as a USB MIDI source. And then I have it sending the appropriate CCs in through that. And then I got to kind of boomerang that off and send it where I want it to go. I don't know if Max for Live can handle it. I don't know enough Max for Live to I just can't figure out how to make it go. I know Luke had said he would take a look at it. I haven't. I don't know if he's been able to or had time to or not. But that's so getting XY in is easy. Getting it moved where I want it automatically is what the problem is. If this were, if I weren't using USB MIDI, well, so Paul, the MIDI loop stuff can be handled in. I could handle it in a really ugly manner within the audio MIDI setup, I think. But the yeah, I mean, it's just ugly. I don't have the app running I don't have the network, the audio MIDI app running at the moment. Once you set it up, it kind of hangs out in the background and does the redirection. But basically, you have a system-wide patch bay, and I suspect that I could do it in a combination of that and the Mio XL. If this were all DIN MIDI, it would be no big deal at all. I just take the two DIN MIDIs, put them into a merger, and come out the other side, and it would all be where I want it to be. And it would just be a single input at that point. This being USB MIDI, of course, it's a thing. And so there's supposed to be a way to do it. I've tried 3 or 4 different existing MIDI or Max for Live, Max for Live gizmos, and which have said they would do it, and they don't. They do all kinds of other things, but they don't do that. So the second part of this is to that some things like some things do a XY, just a straight XY. Most things do. All those scene things from Native Instruments do. I can map XY into whatever I want in most other apps. The challenge is a couple of other VSTs that use a different way of locating the pointer, so to speak, specifically Omnisphere, and the orb uses polar coordinates instead of Cartesian coordinates. And so I'm doing a Max for Live thing to convert Cartesian to polar to be able to send the appropriate information into Omnisphere. I've got that about halfway working, and I'm to the point where I just need to get the offsets and scaling right, and that part will be done. And I'm going to use that as have that as a separate device, so we'll feed in through whatever is doing the directing through this device for when I'm using on the tracks that I'm using Omnisphere on that I want to do it. Using Momo's editor for Pro 800 instructions, Ableton, and other gear involved loop MIDI. Yeah, and I don't even know if loop MIDI is available for the Mac, Paul. In your case, the old standby in the PC world, Paul, was Hubie's. It just always seemed to work. And I think it's still available. And I think it'll run on Windows 11, if I remember correctly. So yeah, there's just got to be a way to do it. I just, either it pokes it in. See, the only way to merge MIDI within Ableton Live is to do this thing where you set your primary controller and then you force MIDI in the side, kind of sort of from another channel. So anyway, that's where that is at the moment. And like I say, I can play it, but if you notice when I change, I like to be able to just throw the thing, change the track, play the next instrument, and have all my stuff together. So tonight in the jams, what I'm changing between in this case this vital synth that this sound, I'll show you the gyrations. So basically, I'm playing this. And now I want to go over to this Kontakt instrument that I have mapped. So I move that over, and then I have to go here to here and change this. And now, of course, this one's really subtle. If I bring the instrument up, you can see it working. It's magic. Assuming I had them turned on. Yeah, there you go. So you can see the XY pad moving, and that's coming from the phone, you know. So anyway, it's just really, Asaph, good to see you. So it's just, it's inconvenient at this point. I'd like it to get to be convenient. So anyway, that's that. And that's probably all the interesting stuff. I've got to do, I think, part 3 tonight of the VST instrument selection thing. So I should open up my little spreadsheet, I guess. Let's jump over here while I play on my computer. Boopy-doop. Boopy-doop. Let's see, I want numbers. Clicky click. And I want to cancel that. File, open, recent. Oh, it's not on this. I don't have it on here. Shoot. Well, why don't I have it on here? I had it on here before. Didn't we have this up last week? I might have had it in the other version of Numbers. That's probably why. I'm trying out the new version of Numbers too. Not now. Let's see. Click. And there it is. Okay. So I got that up here. You can see it lighting up my screen. Go back to here. All right, and do that. So as I said, I doubled down on native instruments, and let's see, where were we though? I don't want to get too far out of order. We were looking at Dawson. All the Dawson stuff is a 5. Yeah. So for those who haven't been here during this business, for those who haven't been here, I'm going through all of my plugins and kind of rating them. And the idea is that once I get them all rated, I will put them in better organization in Ableton's search, because right now everything is here in a big long list, and so I'd like to be able to say quickly get to different things based on different search categories. But you got a Mark II, cool. It's in my wish list as well. And I don't know, Jeff, if I'm sorry, I don't know, Paul, if I'm working or I'm reading your text, or your comment. I don't know if I'm working tomorrow or not. I've got a client that is deciding whether or not he wants to actually respond to the email, my response to his email. So anyway, gets annoying real fast when they do that. So anyway, let's real quick go ahead and, okay. Oh, we'll use this track since it's all set up. So anyway, we know we love all the Dawson stuff. I mean, this stuff is Dawson is awesome, you know. Turn that down. Wow, that's loud. Lots of volume on that one. I'm also noticing in my I'm also noticing that I have a lot of stuff that does pads and whatnot, but less other stuff. So what I've been doing, for those who haven't seen this part yet, is that I go through and we try a few patches, and then rate them on a 1 to 5 as to how well they fit in my scheme of things. Is really what it gets down to. These things always sound wonderful, you know. So anyway, we play with it, see what we think. Abyss gets a 5. And I'm going to say we already know, we know how I feel about contrast. We know how I feel about most of these. Contrast is really cool. I saw a thing on the interwebs today. Somebody is selling for a ridiculous amount of money a little teeny tiny camera that takes a 0.03 megapixel image. And part of me thought, well, that's that would be really cool for making images to feed into the visual part of contrast. I mean, it'd be perfect. You know, and then, you know, the price of this little toy camera came up as 80 euros. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You know, I often wonder what people are thinking, because this thing had a 3D printed shell, and you know, goodness knows what lack of gear for camera in it. You know, the most expensive part in it was probably the little OLED display on the back. You know, it's like, really, people? Because those things are only in quantity. You know, they're like, you know, $1 a piece, maybe. So anyway. I think you've all seen stuff with contrast before, where I've played my face and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on that one. Accidentally lashed your key strap through here and had to reboot everything. You know, I don't know. I mean, you know, I guess it's small scale production, but you know, even so, it's not an 80 euro piece. You know, it's just not. And it's like, you know, I have been in production work, you know, manufacturing. I do know what's going on. You know, I purchased a clue. So anyway, let's do Cult next. And boom, there we go. I'm having lots of switcher errors tonight. I'm not quite with it. Cult is fantastic for drone. It's good for pads. Oh, this is cool. That's fun. What else we got? Let's see. Like I said, I just played through a few. Let's see. Let's click the drone category. Dawson is one of those companies with, they put something out, I just buy it. I don't even, you know, it's just. One thing I will say though about DOSM software, it does tend to pull down on the pull down hard on the CPU, especially when loading a patch. What's this one? Take that down an octave. So now I'm down 2 octaves and at the bottom of the keyboard. So this doesn't have it. This patch doesn't have any filters enabled down in here. Interesting. Hey, Tony. Good to see you. I vaguely remember Vaz. Wow. Yeah, that's back a ways. So this is another one, by the way, that's got a crossfader between the voices or the oscillators, and coupling that with other, with some other parameters would be a natural for that XY pad once I get it working right. And Jeff, to your comment, Cult is the one that I've probably played with the least. That LFO thing is being modulated by Aftertouch, by the way. Cult is speaking to you. If you were in the Tony, if you were in the deep in the Native Instruments camp like I am, I'll show you something here. Get to it real quick. So when I'm using a lot of these, actually no, Cult's not going to do it, I don't think. Yeah, Cult doesn't do it. One of the things I've talked about the Native Instruments stuff a lot. One of the reasons I really like it is because it integrates so nicely with this keyboard. I could spend a little bit of time and have that fully integrated with the keyboard too. So a lot of the mousing or the most common used controls would be right at my fingertips. Like I could probably, let's see. This might just go ahead and do it. Yeah. So as I'm configuring these, like I've got the fade done and the filter cutoff. So if I jump back, let's see, boom, 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 boom. So now I have those, just with those couple of mouse clicks, I've now got that on the keyboard easily. And if I go to this, that's my crossfader. So you say that, Tony. I mean, you know, if we go and look at that, you see my desk. You know, if I want to use other than the actual, you know, laptop keyboard, I got to push this back and set the keyboard here. So, you know, they have a 32 key, but not, it's the A series. It's not the control series. So in the A series, you don't have the display. You've just got some knobs. And I think they have, at one point they had a 25 key with full-size keys, and then a 32 with mini keys. But they do not have that series does not have the display. And, you know, I live in 49 keys. If I need 61, I'll route the Polybrute into it. Yeah, it's like, you know, that's, and my thing is, you know, I may end up be looking at a smaller space at some point. You know, I don't know. So it's, you know, but space, you know, space I know is a challenge. Like when I get the Leviathan, something's probably going to have to move out of here. I just won't have the space for anything else. So anyway, so in our ratings game, Galt gets to be a 5 for sure. And you know, Jeff and I both love, we love Myth, probably as much as anything else on the planet. Myth is, there we go. So Myth is a resynthesis engine, and in the full version, in Myth, you've actually got 2 resynthesis engines. And they had the first version of Myth, when it did the resynthesis, it significantly altered the sound of the source sample. And people apparently didn't like that. So in the second version of the resynthesis engine, they fixed that. Now I like the altered resynthesis better, personally. I mean, they're both good, but I prefer the interesting stuff you get from the altered version. Andy, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Yeah, get some sleep. It's the middle of the night. I do appreciate you coming. So good night, Andy, and we'll talk tomorrow. I'll be looking forward to see the video that you've got. I think it looked like you posted it or something. So I'll take a look at that. And Tony, yeah, I got the MacBook because this is also my daily driver. And I really like that. One of the things that I was kind of struggling with in the past was that I would, you know, I had the desktop computer, which I think may be going to a new home soon running Windows, and then I had my laptop, which was a dismal failure. And so I would do pre-production on the laptop and then have to transfer it in and, you know, to do final production. And it just got to be a real headache. So the original idea was that the laptop that I had gotten, the Windows laptop that I had gotten, was supposed to be the, you know, full production computer, and it choked badly. So something had to be done. So anyway, this has been standing up pretty nicely. It's it's not a new one. It's an I got a refurb. It's an M1 Max MacBook Pro. And it does everything I want to do. So until somebody comes up with a synth it can't handle, but so I'm going to skip an order. That was Myth, and we know that's a 5. I'll jump back over and get that. But as Paul mentioned, he was doing some stuff with Zyklop, and Zyklop has one iris. So, oh, you got to see it. There you go. Zyklop has Zyklop has it's basically half a Myth. And it's free, as Paul said. So everyone should own this, in my opinion. And I do a lot of pad stuff, but let's see. It'll also do. It'll do bass and leads and all that. It'll do whatever you want to do. Half of it. Yeah, but it comes at a good price, So anyway, neat synth. So let's pop back over, and we knew Myth was a 5. Zyklop is still a 5, even though it's only half of a Myth. So let's see. So the first one of the Dawson synths that I got was Novum. And this is a granular synth. And I've always really liked granular stuff. This one's really weird. There's all kinds of, there's more stuff going on in here than I think I've seen in most other granular synths. Right now we're only doing a 1.5 hour tour, Paul. I still love granular stuff because I love stuff with lots of texture. That's the thing. I mean, you know, it's textures is pretty important for me for what I do. And there's really, I mean, that's a very interesting way to get texture. For the density to operate in sync mode, track has to be playing. One thing I just noticed though with this, maybe it's in the envelope section. Yeah, okay. Looks like you can change. No. So interestingly though, you get backward or forward, but not at a, doesn't look like you get a degree of both, which I think is important to some interesting granular stuff. What's doing that ramp? That pitch bend, where is that? I don't like that. Well, anyway. Oh, here we go. Oh, nope, that's not it. Anyway. But I find it interesting. I didn't realize that, oh, here it is. I didn't realize that there was no, didn't realize there was no ability to have some grains go forward and some go backwards. That's actually a little disappointing. I'm going to give Novum a 4. So, anyway, it is. Can you hit up some presets? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump back to that. I'll do some more presets. There's one. One thing I will say about this is much more efficient on the Mac than it was on the PC, as far as CPU is concerned. So this particular preset, we've got key tracking on the rate for the grains. If you look at that display, let's bring it up full screen. So you can see the low notes, they're kind of crawling along there on the bottom. Or crawling along. is going on out? Oh. I don't know. So yeah, there are differences in granular over myth. If I start playing with the size and density, I will say, Jeff, that there is and there isn't stuff in here that you can't do with a good granular effect. Like, for instance, if I jump out of here real quick, and let's go over to this vital patch that we were playing with earlier. I'll turn off love, and let's go over here and grab, where is it? Is it this one? No. Oh, let's see, somewhere here. This guy. This is a granular effect that'll do up to 3 sets of grains on pretty much anything you feed to it. And I can vary the shape. That was loud. Let's see, somewhere here. Oh, let's turn the mix. And with this one, I can set up a percentage of how many actually go in reverse. And then I can light up another lane. Now you see both lanes are working. So anyway, like I said, there's lots of stuff you can do in an effect as well, and this is a good one. I mean, this is, and then there's also the whole option of, if you have pigments, and a couple of, and any number of other synths as well. But if you've got pigments, this will do a great job of breaking what I was working on there. Let's not do that. Anyway, pigments, of course, go to over here. There we go. Pigments, of course, has got a granular engine. If we go into the sample, I will just turn this off, turn this engine on since it's already set up. Oh, there we go. Oh, that broke the start position. There we go. You can do all the things, or some of them. I don't think pigments granular is not as full featured as a dedicated granular synth or effect, but it does have an advantage where everything can be rolled quickly into, into one instrument. So anyway, let's see. It is, it's 9:35. And we played with all the Dawson stuff tonight. So I'm not in a rush to jump through all this stuff. What do I have? What's that? Oh, that's that thing we looked at the other week. That's that. That's the Korgs. We'll do Cube we can do Cube real quick. Jump out of order, but this is an interesting synth. So this is a thing that'll load up to 8 samples, and this dot in the middle rolls around between them, and you can change the way it orbits. Let's do this. Let's find, so you load your 8 samples, you do this thing between it. Where is I don't use this one a whole lot, obviously. I want to find, oh, here we go, just here. That one I have marked as a favorite. So let's go ahead and look at that. So it's basically wandering through the samples and mixing between them. Yeah, definitely. I agree, Tony. As you can see, there's 8 different samples loaded in here. And we can change the orbit from what they've got here. Let's see, let's find one that's interesting. There are some really interesting complex ones, and they're not in the stock. All I have on here is the stock set. Venus Theory did, Cameron did some really, really cool ones. So did Ben Jordan. And I haven't loaded those up yet. I think some of the ones that Ben did, they actually look like trees. Oh, there's the bird unhappy. I think Cardinal supports Cardinal modules, Paul. So it's kind of a closed system, but it's got its own, additional module packs, I believe. So anyway, Cube is Cube. I've kind of Cube is okay, but I'm only going to hit it with a 3 for now. And like I said, it's 9:40. So I don't know about you guys. I'm tired. I thank everyone for coming by tonight, Paul and Tony and Jeff and Andy who was here earlier, and let's see who else has been here tonight. Paul, Sean, and let's see, there were some other folks here early. Asaph was here early. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and play out. Yeah, I'm surprised you're still up, Jeff. Honestly, I mean, you've had a week and you've had a rough couple of weeks. I'll tell you. How long was it? Oh, hey, Kurt. Yeah, it's how long was your ordeal, Jeff? I kind of lost track. So, yeah, I'll let you know, Paul. 2 weeks in the hospital. Jeez. I don't like the hospital for more than about 12 minutes, if I'm honest. Let's do something here. Let's capture that. That should start up playing in a moment. turn that down, and I'm going to go ahead and start. Start the closing jam. I'm not on great terms with mine, honestly. I mean, it carries me around, and obviously I've been on better terms with mine than you were with yours. But I don't know. This living thing can be pretty rough. So, but I'll take it to the alternative. So anyway, guys, thanks. Thank you all for coming tonight. I'm going to call it quits. Play for a few minutes and then head off to bed. So, thanks, guys.